out of life. Go out to a movie.
Red Rabbit Drive-In Theater.
Welcome to the Red Rabbit Drive-In Theater. That's exactly what he just said. I'm your host, Slinky, joined by my good buddy,
Mick Sawyer. And what's the episode going to be about tonight, Slinky?
Well, we talked about it for like 5 minutes on the last episode, and then you put a post up. You were like, the Terminator, bitches. So,
yeah, that's right.
It's the Terminator, man. Both of us got a hot nut for this movie.
Yes.
I don't know.
And I got tons of factoids.
Oh yeah, know an awful lot of useless shit about this flick. Mick's gonna run this motherfucker though. I'll be honest with you. I love the movie. I'm a huge fan of it. But Mick is on next level. Like he's like the guy that knocks at your door and he's like, "Hey, do you have a minute so I can tell you about our Lord and Savior, Kyle Reese?"
Michael Biehn.
Yeah, Michael Biehn. Huge Michael Biehn fan, which I am as well. I love Michael Biehn, man. He's a really good actor. Let's see. I don't even know where to start on this movie. The movie's grim. The storyline of the movie is really dark, and it's. What's funny is there's few movies that are talked about by philosophers and futurists, and this is one of them. The Terminator premise, the Matrix premise. Artificial intelligence.
Because we have the real Skynet, which is fucking insanity.
I thought of, you guys haven't seen the fucking Terminator? Like, my toaster's chasing me around the kitchen. Nope.
Yeah.
I
used to have a Cyberdyne Systems T-shirt.
Cyberdyne Systems 101.
That's right.
Yeah. This movie's fantastic, man, and it's done. James Cameron did it.
It was James Cameron's second film, and it was his breakout smash hit.
Put him on the map. Absolutely.
They got him the job to do Aliens also.
What's funny about James Cameron is he made the Terminator, and then that, afforded him to be able to do Aliens. He came out and destroyed with a sequel, Aliens, because I don't care what anybody says, man.
Absolutely.
Aliens is amazing film.
It's one of the greatest sequels ever made on the fucking face of the planet.
It's one of the greatest movies, man. Like that movie.
Exactly.
That's what I consider one of the definitions of a film. It's supposed to take you somewhere. It's supposed to capture your attention and not let it go until it's over, and Aliens does just that. Terminator, it's really good, man. It's so good. I don't even know where to start on this movie.
There's
so many good actors in the movie too. That's the thing. Like the cast is solid, like straight solid in this flick.
Well, I guess we could start. I would say we could say,
man.
Don't make me bust you up, man. Yeah, we could start with how we were exposed to it.
Okay, yeah.
Because I remember when I was talking to you the other day, I was trying to fucking figure out,
Blues do.
Which one I had seen first. But you go first.
All right. I was at my mom's friend's house, who was wealthy enough to afford a VCR back in like 1984, 85, back when they were affordable for home purchase. Affordable meaning they were like $600.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
Remember, she was like baking cookies or something, and she just needed something to plop me in front of the TV with, and she picked the Terminator. God bless her.
That's a fucking great distraction.
So I was like 7 or 8, I think, and I remember watching this movie. I didn't know what the hell was going on, but then when he goes into the bathroom and rips some of his skin off, and you're like, whoa. But what the scene that stuck with me was when the T-800 skeleton, all totally exposed now.
Oh yeah.
Crawling through that press, man, and you're just like, oh snap. Then the summer that Terminator 2 came out, I asked my mom to rent the Terminator again, and she rented it, and that's when I really fully paid attention to it, and I was like, oh,
amazing.
Insane. Yeah, it's a brilliant movie, man.
It really is.
It's shot very nice. Like it's man. Listen, excuse me, either one of us are not going to tell you anything you've never heard about this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we're just going to tell you why we like it because it's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
What's cool that they do in this, or what James Cameron does, is with Kyle Reese and Arnold. Kyle Reese is a human. He's sent back in time. So I always considered him kind of shell-shocked because he looks worse for wear.
Yeah.
When he shows up, he looks like a killer. He looks like a crazy person,
No, he totally does.
So when she notices him, it's, you don't blame her for thinking, oh my God, this guy's gonna try to kill her.
Well, yeah, and that was something that was really brilliant about the movie to begin with, because it made you think like, oh shit, what's like. Well, no, I don't know. I can't say that because
remember they don't show his vision until after the club, right?
Yeah.
No. Dick Miller's in it. Love Dick Miller.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Hey, you can't do that. Wow.
Like, oh man.
I remember. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. It's okay. Like, we're excited.
Nice part of the story that the story's good, man. And again, this is another movie that when you watch it, you see the beginning and you don't know what the hell is going on. You see these machines rolling over. Well, they give you the little exposition line, but to see an actual hunter killer roll over some skulls, you're like, oh shit, dude. The revolt of the Tuskers.
How dark and gritty this film is. Like, and it's never gone back to that. I think T2 is the closest we ever got to having that tone again, but every other sequel has just been a retread of trying to be T2. And
yes, you said that the other night, and I was like, I hope to God he says that on the show. I hope to God he says that.
Oh God, like, it's so frustrating to me because, I think one thing that I always had this like pitch, because here's the thing, some people go back and forth. They talk about which worst sequel was in the franchise. Some people will say
keep doing the time flop back and no, man, no, just seen it done. And
I mean, and it's just one of those things like, okay, if you would, it's so simple what you could do that would just blow everybody's mind and make people want to watch another Terminator movie again.
Make a killer Terminator sequel for like $6 million.
Yeah,
it would give it the Blomquist, whatever the name is, the District 9 guy.
Blomkamp. Yeah, Neil Blomkamp.
He would own it, dude.
And he would. And here's the thing too. This is all you need to do. Make it dark like the first film again. And make Arnold a bad guy again. Stop making him a good guy. Like, it's
honestly, they need to do better de-aging on Arnold because cyborgs don't age. I'm pretty sure,
Well, they said that they worked in there that they can age. I can't remember how, but fuck those sequels. Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah, exactly.
But like, I remember I always thought, okay, Salvation had the right idea, and Salvation is really not that bad of a Terminator film, like it because
3. So you're no Terminator 2. That's it.
I
this
agree.
T2. That's it, man.
These will always be the two superior in the franchise. But if you were to go back and you were to go through all the sequels, I personally would say Salvation was the best out of all of them, because Salvation tried to do something different. And not to mention the fact Salvation made a movie that I always wanted to see, which was a movie about the resistance itself, about them fighting the war against the machines in the future, and John Connor.
Right?
Yeah, and Christian Bale played John Connor, which is fucking awesome. You know, and I mean, I got a fucking massive hard on for Christian Bale. You know, like
hockey pants. Sorry.
Like I always think about that part that he says in Salvation in his Batman voice, like, yeah, but like, but anyway, like,
listen, not to cut you off, I just want to say this about Terminator 3. The part where I lost respect is where the female Terminator, who is not just liquid metal or has a interior metal chassis,
I know what you're gonna
they
say.
gave her laser beams in her hands. So I'm kind of like, when I saw that, when she pulled her arm gimmick out and it shot a fucking pulse thing, I'm like, freaking laser beams. I was like, come on, guys.
The T is basically a poor man's T-1000. That's exactly what it was. It's pretty simple. Like, this is the logic that went behind it. Well, people like the endoskeleton, but people like the liquid metal too. Let's do both.
It'll stick.
That's what fucking X is.
No.
You know, don't get me started on that fucking piece of shit. I mean, Genesis was
Genesis. Whatever.
Oh God,
fucked up. Nobody knew what they were talking about.
I did not think anything could get worse than 3. I didn't think that was humanly.
Oh wait, there's more. It's like a prize on a fucking game show. Anyway, Terminator, because we haven't been exposed to the T-1000 yet, liquid metal. What was neat so many, what is it?
A hermetic polyalloy.
Step Aaron's dead. What's cool is I was gonna say they can mimic the voices that they hear, because he does it to the cop. You know.
He does it to Sarah Connor in the first one too, and he disguises his voice as his mother, which is awesome.
I have it on, but it's turned down so we can talk.
Yes,
See, there you go. It's like I said, man, it's a fantastic fucking movie, and the thing is that I remember the time I really paid attention to it when I was I think 11, and the story really scared me.
I could see why. I mean, it's this dark, like, it's a action movie it's a slasher film disguised as an action film. I mean,
it's tangible. That's the thing, man. It's not so far-fetched. And
no,
it's the classic story, say Frankenstein, the Prometheus, where it's Frankenstein, the modern Prometheus. It's the creation turning on the creator, you know?
Yeah.
Like, AI becomes self-aware. That's a scary fucking thought. That's a terrifying thought.
Absolutely. Like,
it's man, it's bonkers, man.
Man, okay.
And the machines got so smart, they decided the mother of the resistance leader is a target. So let's send our toaster back in time to just smite this bitch.
It's absolutely terrifying. Like,
oh my God.
It really is. Like, one of the things that I loved about, this is my exposure to the first one.
All right, let's hear it.
I'm pretty sure that I saw 2 first, because
no,
I remember my dad was like, he's like, yeah, you know, I remember seeing a trailer for 2, and that was my beginnings of becoming a big Schwarzenegger fan.
Dude, so many exposed to the Terminator from part 2. Come on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure most people there's a lot of people that I know that got exposed to 2 first.
A lot of people from our generation did, you know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like,
it had Guns N' Roses attached to it. It had
yeah, it was huge. And my dad was like, "Do you want to go see that?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course."
Yeah, why are we watching it now? Like,
It's like, it's fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. Of course I'll go and see it, like, and I remember we went to go see it, and it fucking changed my life forever. And
blew nuts off everybody, man.
And I think for Christmas that year, my dad bought me the first one because, of course, I wanted to see the first one after 2 because I love 2 so much. I was like, yeah, I wanted to consume everything that was Terminator.
And see, 2 is so good, it actually fills you in, and you're fine jumping in on 2. You're totally, yeah,
absolutely. And I remember that was my first exposure to Michael Biehn, as it was to probably most people, being exposed to Michael Biehn during that time, because like I didn't
Kyle Reese and then Aliens after
Hicks.
that.
Yeah, because I saw Aliens. I think I saw Aliens around the same time, because I remember they were playing it on HBO a lot.
I saw a bunch of movies in a cluster. Like James Cameron just exploded for some reason one summer.
Oh my god! Yeah. And like
some of The Abyss came out. That's what it was. Saw all these movies by him around the same time.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. I saw The Abyss maybe a couple of years after I saw the first Terminator, because I saw T2 the same year. Because I went, to the theater to go see 2, obviously. And okay, so 1, I got home. I remember, I'm pretty sure it was a Christmas gift, because I remember being so stoked about it. And I remember I watched 1 a lot. And I remember when I first saw it, that opening credit sequence is so fucking horrible.
The music, oh man.
That Brad Fidel's score is forever immortalized in our brains for the rest of our lives. Like,
and no matter how it's played, like 80s synth style orchestra, it's driving. It's what it is, instantly recognizable.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things that Brad Fidel will, to people, will always be the Terminator guy. That's what people are going to think. He's the guy that did the music for the Terminator, because
it's pretty, no less. It's really, it's really gorgeous, man. It's really cool.
And don't get me wrong, Brad Fidel has gone on to do some other great scores, but I mean, there's no arguing the fact that his contribution to the first 2 Terminator films
I think every composer has a magnum opus, if you will. Yeah. John Williams has several. I don't know how he does it. Jaws, Star Wars, Jurassic Park. Where do you stop, John? Where do you stop? Like, all his stuff is gorgeous. But I think, like, Alan Silvestri, I always remember the Predator for Alan Silvestri.
Alan Silvestri will always be associated with Predator for me.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say Back to the Future. Predator was first and foremost for me with Silvestri. Hans Zimmer, you can associate him with, he's like our John Williams of this year.
Yeah, he's another one. Jerry Goldsmith's another one too. All right, we gotta get back on the movie, son.
Yeah, let's get back on track. We're going
Rabbit in Red. But like, what was I gonna say about it? Oh, fucking Stan Winston.
Yes. Oh my God.
The endoskeletons are terrifying when you see them with their fucking red eyes, and they're just looking around like, holy shit. Terrifying. And I remember I wanted a toy so bad of the Terminator, because I was like, this guy has to wipe out all my Joes. And but yeah, the stuff Stan Winston pulled off in this movie Nobody'd seen shit like that before, man. It's another set of precedent.
It's totally iconic because, I mean, okay, remember how we always talked about, like, we were obsessed with Ghostbusters for years. Ghostbusters took
Ghostbusters.
5 years of my life. This one took the next 5 years of my life. Like, yeah. I mean, I was obsessed with T1 and T2.
In high school, I told my guidance counselor I was going to be a Ghostbuster. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I went from wanting to be a Ghostbuster to wanting to be a killing machine.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what that entailed at the time. Like, it's not, man, it'd be cool.
Facts.
Mission. I'll take somebody else. I want to be an 800.
Just give me a target. Just give me a target.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean.
And this coined Arnold's most famous tagline. I'll be back.
Oh, I just thought about something too. This is interesting because you're talking about taglines. It's always synonymous with Arnold, but I think a lot of people forget that Michael Biehn said this first. Come with me if you want to live.
That's right. He says it to her in the club. Come with me if you want to live. That's right.
But everybody always is. I understand it. Everybody.
Me too. When he looks at her in the hallway, he's like, "Come with me if you want to live." No, Mom, because she thinks he's there to kill her.
Arnold, completely kind of stole Michael Bihn's thunder on that a little bit, because the moment that you take a line that somebody else says and then you give it to Arnold, it's like redefined almost. Like it's
dude.
Not redefined, but like refurbished, and it's more enhanced than it originally was. Not saying that Michael Biehn, didn't do a great job giving the delivery, but you can't hear that line without hearing Arnold saying it.
Yeah, I think what adds to it too is when Kyle Reese says it in the club, it's go with him. Go with him. But because Arnold is the good guy in part 2, when he says it, much more impactful. And Sarah Connor's like, what the fuck? Like she's ready to start unloading on him. And
guy that killed my, the love of my life, and that's been trying to kill my son. Like I'm in the Pascadero hospital because of this fucking thing. Like
fucking 8 years, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
that scumbag doctor walks right by him in the police station. What a dick.
Fucking Dr. Silverman. It's so weird because here's the other thing though. So let's get to a couple of factoids that's really interesting. Like for one,
I told you Nick's gonna run this bitch good. You were dropping some of these on me, and I'm like, no. So we reached the factoid part of the episode, folks. Here we go.
Well, I think this is pretty common knowledge. I know you knew this, and at least diehard fans like ourselves know this. But Lance Henriksen was originally going to be the T-800. If people look at the original concept art, it was Lance Henriksen's likeness, not Arnold Schwarzenegger's.
And he's one of those guys. I'll watch him make a ham sandwich, dude. I'll watch anything. Like,
couldn't agree more. I could not agree. I couldn't agree enough because we could talk about Lance Henriksen for hours.
Yeah, we could show just Lance,
Yeah.
Satellites tracked an image to Antarctica. And no, just go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I love that voice. It's like I told you when I met him. Like,
God, man, I would love to meet. I'm so jealous, you bitch. That's fucking so cool.
I told you that. Didn't I tell you that when I met him, I told him that I named my bong after him?
The Red Rabbit Drive-In does not condone the use of drugs.
I was 27, and I remember I told him, I was like, yeah, I named my bong Bishop. And the best thing about it was hard for me not to. The bong was blue. Bishop's clothes were blue and aliens. So
when he climbed the pipe of light blue.
I had one of those pat myself on the back moments when I met him.
Like, what the fuck do you say to that?
Well, he snickered
Was it a
about it.
big dong? Like,
That's pretty cool. Then like the best thing about it was this was the definitive pat myself on the back moment. But when I'd said to him, I was like, I thought about this. I've been thinking about this for quite a few years now, but I thought if you're going to do a Millennium movie, you could have David Fincher return to direct it, considering that Chris Carter said that the initial inspiration for Millennium was Seven. David Fincher went on to direct Seven after Alien 3. You worked with David Fincher on Alien 3. It's a perfect natural fit to have him do a Millennium movie. And then I remember
Kevin Baconed his ass into a flashback. Like, he was probably like, holy shit.
And then David Fincher goes, yeah, I like Fincher.
Oh, it's so cool. Oh. He's too cool for school, man. He's too cool for school.
He really is. He's got like the coolest voice ever. But anyway, though, so back to Lance Henriksen originally being a Terminator. Then there was another one where they were talking about O.J. Simpson being the Terminator.
Jesus Christ. O.J. Simpson. Listen, the first time, because, I was born in 80, so I was already born past O.J. Simpson's, like, football highlights.
I was born in 84, ironically enough.
Yeah. So it's, O.J. Simpson to me will always be Nordberg from the Naked Gun movies.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
well, it's such a
doofus.
It's such a throwaway when you think about it. Like when you talk
Terminator?
about Terminator factoids, they're like O.J. Simpson.
The juice?
Yeah, it's like, thank God that didn't happen.
So like, cast it as the T-800.
Yeah. They wanted the T-800, I guess, but the interesting,
she's dying out there.
like,
the juice is loose. I'll be back.
Yeah, like,
Nordberg.
Don't fit. You full of shit. The Terminator with the most emotion ever. But like,
just steal a white Bronco.
Yeah, but the other thing that was interesting is, of course, they ended up having Lance Henriksen as a kind of like a supporting character. But here's what I was initially gonna say. So
if you haven't seen the movie, spoilers, he gets wasted in the precinct.
Yeah, spoilers galore. Just so you know, sorry.
Everybody kills Lance Henriksen.
The movie is literally as old as me, god damn it. But like
holy shit.
Yeah, 36.
Oh, god damn it. Yeah.
I know. No, like fucking but yeah, the interesting thing is when James Cameron when he saw Arnold
Piranha 2, The Spawning.
It's
funny because Lance Henriksen's in that motherfucker too. So go ahead.
We're gonna do an episode on that too.
Here we are, and I'm gonna.
Yeah, you're gonna own that one.
I hate when people distance themselves from their earlier projects because it's like, look, hey, everybody, you have to start somewhere, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
But like
Piranha 2, The Spawning.
James Cameron had, I remember like Arnold at first.
Why do these fish have wings? I'm sorry. God, I'm sorry.
At first, he was going to be Kyle Reese. But James Cameron changed his mind. And he was like, I actually think he would be better for the Terminator. And he was like, well, and I remember they were going to have their meeting. And he said, wish me luck. I'm going to go pick a fight with Arnold. Because he thought that Arnold was going to be opposed to the idea of playing the Terminator. Turns out, before James Cameron could even mention it to him, Arnold actually broke the ice on that and said, I'm actually more interested in the Terminator. I want to play the Terminator. And
Skynet actually incorporated a voice from Austria into their machine that kills. I always thought that was a funny touch,
I thought so. Hey, you know what though?
Hey,
who knows how much
blend in? He has to blend in, So.
Yeah, exactly. But that was always a pretty cool factoid Then the other thing about the first film is, like, of course,
Factoid, Bill Paxton. You gotta mention Bill Paxton.
Yes.
The Bill Paxton trifecta.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. I mentioned that to my daughter tonight, and she's like, oh, my God, you're right. And I'm like, see?
We were fucking mind, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She had no clue. Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so
she's like, the guy that tells the dirty underwear joke in Predator 2. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. And she's like, oh, my God. Yeah. She thought that was amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, that's an education right there.
I brought her up right, son. I brought her up right. Like, she will survive a slasher flick if needed. So.
But, well, in case some people don't remember, Bill Paxton was one of the punks in the beginning of the movie. Like, which it's weird. You don't really see Bill Paxton's death. Like,
gets thrown, I guess, against the fence, and then see him again.
So. Yeah, because I remember he stabs him with the switchblade. It's like
he kills the other guy from Fright Night 2. He kills him.
Yeah. Yep.
And the third guy just whips his jacket off and fucking, here, take it, man.
Yeah, like, I love
your shoes, your boots, your bike. I love it.
Fuck you, asshole. Yeah, I love Bill Paxton in that scene. He was like, hey, my turn.
What's wrong with this scene? Like, it's so good.
This guy looks like a couple cans short of a six-pack.
Says that. Yeah, short of a six-pack. Yeah. But so, yeah, Bill Paxton's in this one, and then he shows up in Alien.
Terminator, Aliens, it's Hudson, and the Lone Ranger, a.k.a. Jerry, and Predator 2. And he has literally been killed by a Terminator, by a Predator, and a Xenomorph. And
it's funny because, like, he's kind of a douche in Predator 2. Of course he's a douche in Predator 2. And then he's like he's kind of like a coward in Aliens, but then he's not. He goes down fighting. I'll give him that.
He pulls the John Boyd before we got John Boyd in Ravenous.
Yes.
Where John Boyd was kind of a coward, but he had courageous moments.
He does. He goes down fighting, man. Like, they pull him through the floor, but he goes out.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Predator 2, he does the same thing. He goes out fighting.
Predator 2, he was definitely a little bit less on the cowardice side, though. Yeah. Even though Hudson ended up growing a pair towards the end of Aliens, but like,
we're in charge. I love him in that movie.
Yeah, I love when he's like, man, is that bitch on the rag or what?
But on that train, he steps up, man. He gets in between, and Vasquez is in Predator 2, and that's right.
That is one of my favorite go out and guns blazing sequences ever.
What does he say to the Predator?
He was like,
"Come on, bullet.
Fucker, let's dance."
That's right. He says, "Let's dance." That's right. Fuck it. Hey, you know what? Go out, man. Go out. Make him fucking remember you. Like, yeah.
But it's awesome. So we got. And we also got the trifecta from Aliens. We've got Michael Biehn, Lance Henriksen, and Bill Paxton, all in the first Terminator.
Arnold will always be the Terminator. That's cemented in pop culture.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I mean, the other thing that was this movie, like, it fucking ran my life for 5 fucking years. You know what I mean?
Like, it's really a movie that makes you think, and it doesn't kind of like, oh man, wow, that was a good movie. No, it throws out some deep fucking thoughts.
Yeah, it does.
Not even just the movie, but just the whole idea of us being eradicated by something we created. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It really is, and it's just this kind of like really dark and cold world, which, One of my all-time favorite sequences in the movie is when Reese has that nightmare about when he's in the resistance camp.
Yeah. Oh, he sees the construction vehicles and he's in the car.
Yeah, like, oh no, not that one. Not that. That's the one where he has the nightmare of burning up in the car that flipped over.
Right. That's right.
The one I'm thinking of is when the infiltrator comes into this camp and he starts opening fire on everybody, and you just see eyes glowing. That's like one of my favorite sequences in the movie, which, by the way, that Terminator Resistance game that's coming out on both consoles, it's going to be the first time I've played a video game in years, because I saw the way the gameplay looks for that new Terminator game. They based that whole look off the first film.
Ooh.
And when you can get your hands on some Terminator stuff that is literally using the first film as their basis, count fuck in. Because the last game that I remember doing that was Terminator Dawn of Fate on PS2, which I played a shitload of times.
Buddy of mine hard humped that game because he was like, dude, it's badass. Like,
it really was, man. It was a good game. Like,
and that the essence of a Predator game and do it with that.
Yes,
they've all been suffering, you know. But yeah, go ahead.
God, great. But the other thing that I love about this movie is it's just that, like, the atmosphere. That's one. You know, that's a big thing every time we do an episode. One of the things that both of us love that kind of, you know, seduces us to love the movie even more is the atmosphere.
It helps pull you in, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost like you can feel it. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but it's almost like you can feel it.
Well, it's almost, you can feel it. You can almost kind of feel like you're there, like, especially when they go in when Sarah Connor goes in the Tech Noir Club.
Yeah, it's like real smoky, so like you can smell it.
You feel like you can feel the heat when you're walking in, like when
LA, so it's all pollution and grimy and
you know, like, and I remember the other thing that always kind of stands out though is how, like, Paul Winfield's character, every time Lance Henriksen is trying to tell a story, and Paul Winfield keeps cutting him off. He's like, "Shut up," you know, like, and it's like, God damn, you know, like he takes so much shit from this guy, but I do love it because Lance Henriksen gets one little jab at him. He was like, because the news people are at the station or whatever, and he looks at Lance Henriksen, and he was like, "How do I look?" Like, "Shit, boss."
The one I like the most is when he tells him the first file about Sarah. No, when he hands him the 2 files about Sarah Connor, and he starts telling him, and he's like, pulls his glasses down. He's like, "These work, you know." Like, just it's kind of like a fuck you thing, you know.
Well, it's kind of like it kind of mirrors what Apone said to Hudson. Look into
my eye. I never even thought of that. Holy shit.
You know, like, James Cameron always has some, like, little subtle callback.
May fetch your slippers? Gee, would you, Sarge? Fucking, I love Apone. He's great.
Gee, would you, Sarge? I like that kind of.
We'll get to that. Trust me. We'll do Aliens one day.
Oh, we're definitely doing Aliens.
Yeah,
like,
that's for that is too. And again, this is one of those movies, you know, because this is the 80s. It came out in 84. And toward the end of the 80s, movie companies and toy companies learned through Star Wars that it can be profitable for both to make toys if a movie is aesthetically to the point it lends itself to, you know, the action figure arena. And so, when T2 came out, by the end of the summer, so when T2 came, good. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, so when T2 came out, the end of that summer, Kenner busted out with some pretty badass action.
God, did they? Yes, they did.
I lost my mind.
So did I. When I found out, I remember going to, I think it was just Walmart, and going in the toy section and seeing that they had Terminator 2 Judgment Day action figures. I'm like,
my buddy, I didn't see him, came over because we were G.I. Joe collectors, and he's like, man, they got Terminator 2 figures the James way. And I'm like, ah! And like, I ran down, told my mom, ah! And she's like, Jesus Christ. And
oh man. You know what's funny? Like, I remember I had this neighbor that like across the street named Kyle, and I remember talking to his sister, and I was so gullible and full of hope at that age that like I remember like his sister was saying like, telling me that there's going to be Terminator everything. And she was like, they're going to have Terminator dogs. They're going to have Terminator candy. They're going to have Terminator football.
Well, I mean, they had a lot of stuff. They had trading cards and shit. Well, for T2. But
it happened with different merch. That's where I was getting to.
Yeah.
It's kind of true. Not to the extremes that, she was saying, but hey, I was young and I was hopeful. Like I was so obsessed. I needed to have Terminator everything. Like if they were like, hey, we got this really cool Terminator wallet, I would have had to have had it, like it's like
when RoboCop came out, I did extra chores for 2 weeks to earn my money to buy that RoboCop figure. And I did the same thing with Terminator. I did a bunch of extra chores.
I mean, I think it's interesting because this movie, I think you could say equally resonates with us just as much as RoboCop does.
Yeah, I'd say that because it's
I mean, I think it's a pretty fair assessment when you say. I mean, because
science fiction always twists my mind for some reason, because you're just kind of like, wow. And there's that line he says where she's like, "Are you from the future?" And he's like, a certain one, or one. I forget what he says. A possible one.
A very possible future.
Yeah. And you're like, fuck. There's timelines, plural. And just like science fiction, man. It's scary. Scary shit.
It is like let's go through the characters, I guess. Like this is obviously Linda Hamilton. I don't know if it would be, I guess you could say it was Linda Hamilton's breakout role, wouldn't you say? Like
she ended up on Beauty and the Beast after this.
Yeah, with Ron Perlman.
Before T2, with Ron Perlman. And I'll say, this movie doesn't show her as a badass, but it shows her training and like what she has to go through to become the badass she is in T2.
Yes.
Yeah. Just wanted to drop that.
that. Yeah. I'm really glad that you brought that up, because we were talking about this before the show.
Oh, you're doing it. Sorry. Go ahead.
There's this thing going on about female empowerment. Well, James Cameron was ahead of the fucking curve on that.
Way ahead.
36 years ago now.
Ripley, Sarah Connor. Don't get me going, folks.
Charlie Baltimore. The Long Kiss Goodnight. Like, come on, man. So,
and these women will kick your fucking ass.
And they'll kick any of these action hero women's. I mean, if you were to go purely fictional world.
But yeah, still, I'm not fucking with the Bride. Are you crazy? She took on the Crazy 88. No way.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, this had that way before. It was a thing before.
Listen, man, I'm a swarthy dude, and I love seeing women kick fucking ass.
What?
Seeing Ripley Let her go of her. Let go of her, you bitch. Like, oh, it's on.
Especially when there's that conviction there, because you don't see a lot of that conviction, in my opinion, nowadays. That's why it's really hard to. It doesn't have anything to do with gender. It's all about performance and delivery at the end of the day. And if you fall flat on those two things, you fucking lost me.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with your gender.
Like I said, she's in T2. She owns it. You believe her. You're like, I'm not fucking with her. I'm not,
Sarah Connor was the symbol of hope in a woman that I ever wanted.
Listen, I get she's crazy, but you're talking about a situation where, I mean, she's the mother of the resistance leader in the future. That's batshit to hear, and it's batshit to accept. So,
gigantic burden on her shoulders when you think about it.
She cannot die. That's the thing. She cannot be killed. And I don't mean she's invulnerable. I mean, she can't let herself be killed.
No, she's got that.
And just think, the authorities hearing this fucking story, of course they're going to think you're a lunatic. You know, of course they're going to.
Absolutely. I mean, and the other thing, too, is you really empathize for Sarah Connor, because she was just some normal, everyday girl just trying to get through life, and then all of a sudden, Kyle Reese drops on her fucking, doorstep, and tells her, "Hey, guess what? You don't get to fucking party anymore. You don't get to you don't get to live a normal life, because you're going to be the mother of my child, which is going to be the leader of the resistance against the war against the machines, and you're
humanity's last hope.
Cybernetic organism chasing you for pretty much the next 20 or 30 years of your fucking life."
Yeah, like you're not going to the mall anymore, sweetie. Yeah.
Forget waitressing. Done.
Yeah, forget that little kid scoops ice cream. And at the end of the first one, it's so grim too. It's still, I mean, Terminator's destroyed, but she drives off, and you see the storm brewing and all that stuff. It's fantastic, man. And again, in the second one, the way she is after she escapes from was it Pescadero?
Yeah.
She's a bad bitch. When they go, I guess the assault on what's his face, Miles' house is insane.
Miles Dyson.
Yeah, Miles Dyson. That's crazy. And man, she's a force to be reckoned with. She's a force to be reckoned with.
She's amazing. She's so amazing. Like I love her.
Sells it, man. She really does. Like she's not.
Absolutely does.
When you see her shooting the assault rifles and stuff, you're not like,
No, not at all.
Yeah.
She fucking handles that shit, and I had so much admiration for her. She was a prime example of that was my idea of what a strong female was.
Absolutely.
So I already had an immense amount of love and adoration for females at a very early age.
Because we were young, getting brought up on these movies. And so, yes, from an early age, we were like, hey, that's a bad bitch. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, exactly. My wife's a bad bitch. So
No, I told you to sign that card. Fucking bad bitch.
To thank for that.
But absolutely. And again, I think James Cameron has an affection and an affinity for bad bitches because he married Catherine Bigelow, who she's a badass director. So, I mean, come on, man. Near Dark.
What? Dude, you had a kid with Linda Hamilton.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I believe that was his second wife, I believe, was Linda Hamilton. Because I think Galen Hurd was his first wife, I believe.
That's funny. Oh, I noticed in this too. I never noticed it before during the opening credits. Galen Hurd not only produced the movie, she co-wrote it with Cameron.
Yep.
Did not realize that till today because I'm stupid. But
fucking nuts. I mean, and it's like we have amazing, powerful women, which is interesting. Galen Hurd kind of looks like Kathleen Quinlan, by the way.
She does.
Doesn't she? Like
Oh,
that's
Quinlan.
that just popped into my fucking head. I'm like,
yeah, she does. You're right.
She kind of looks like Kathleen Quinlan. Like,
Yeah.
and I love Galen Hurd, man. Galen Hurd has given me so much fucking shit that I love over the years. Her name has been attached to a lot of shit that I love.
Walking Dead, just a easy one to throw out there. Yeah, she produced Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Back when it was, I don't know if she produced it all the way through. It doesn't matter. What did you think when you first saw the endoskeleton? Because my fucking head exploded when I was like 8. I
don't know if I was more scared of the endoskeleton, not by itself, but with battle damage. That's when I was intimidated.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh my God, like
showing you a tease of what's underneath, like, oh.
And it's like something about that was so much more terrifying, than seeing it by itself, because it's like.
Well, I'll say the bathroom scene with the one red eye.
Yes.
Listen, man, you obviously know that's a puppet and puppetry and stuff, but it still looks boss. It still looks boss.
I agree. I love that scene. Did I tell you that I got written up in school because of this movie? Because when somebody called my name, I responded like the T-800 did in the hotel, where he goes,
"Fuck you, asshole!" Oh my God,
asshole! And I didn't understand why I was in trouble. I remember I kept saying it was from the Terminator. It wasn't my fault.
I have a funny story about the swastika. Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. He's up against the Nazis. Well, I used to draw little stick figure scenes in my folders. So I drew a scene with Indiana Jones fighting Nazis, and I drew a swastika in the background because of their banners in the movie. I didn't know what it was. Yeah. I was like 9 years old. Got in trouble. My mom found it in my backpack and was like, "What is this? Blah, blah, blah." And I told her, I'm like, "It's from Indiana Jones. He hates those guys."
Both of us got in trouble in school for movies. Absolutely. Go figure. I mean, man, it's like you said in the beginning of this episode. What can we have said that hasn't been said about this film?
Yeah, I mean, this movie's been dissected. It's been broken down. It's been,
It's a fucking piece. But here's the thing. We kind of had a little theme for the show in a way, where we did RoboCop, and we have another episode which is Dread, which that's coming here, which will probably drop in that, like, before this episode or after this episode. I'm not sure.
Before, with all the stuff that's been going on, man, I have to.
Just so everybody knows, Slinky runs 2 other shows too, and so does Liz. So, like, I've got a lot on my plate as well. All of us got a lot on our plate, but we got a lot of fucking content, and a lot. But
yeah.
Anyway, my original point is Dread, the Terminator, and RoboCop kind of just all fit together in as far as like Dread.
Future to turn out, man. Like.
Yeah. It was. Thank God, I couldn't articulate it, but you knew where I was going with that. Like,
I mean, some of them aren't quite dystopian. Well, I mean, Terminator is after the war, but
yeah,
I don't want to end up in like Mega City 1. Fuck that shit, man. Sure as hell don't want to live in old Detroit.
Fucking Resistance. Fuck that shit. I was gonna
say that. What a shitty way to live. What a these fucking machines are trying to kill you. What?
Dude, you have so much for Reese, man, because like,
Terrible for Kyle. I feel terrible for Kyle.
yeah, man, like, cause Reese has to endure such like just such terrible fucking living conditions. And the other thing that I love is, ironically enough, I would never think that this movie would also be responsible for what would become my favorite band 10 years later, 10 or 11 years later, which you know what that band is, but I'll say it.
Right or no?
What is it?
What is it? Say it. I probably forgot. I'm stupid, man. I got a lot of shit going on. What is it?
That band would be one of the greatest metal bands on the face of the planet, and also is an innovator of the industrial metal genre.
Such a fucking tool. Yeah.
And that band is Fear Factory. And a lot of people, I'm sure people know this, but a lot of Fear Factory's concepts and lyrical themes is man versus machine.
Especially Obsolete. That one's crazy into it, man.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Bell wrote a little novella in the the lyrics booklet. Just really
Edge Crusher and something else. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah, that's right.
Tron, you know,
goes on to look for more prey. You're like, whoa, what the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Like,
Fear Factory fans. Yeah.
So yeah, massive. It's one of your favorite bands, and it's
that album's perfect. To me, that's a perfect album. I love it.
Demanufactured.
Yeah.
Oh God, but
so we're on a couple ends of the spectrum. It's all good.
Yeah, and hey, you know, it's great because that's what I mean by like the cultural impact that the first Terminator had. It's like penetrated in other art forms, you know, as well. And the thing was, like, it was just completely
with so many people, and it's inspired them to do all this great stuff.
Exactly.
Artists, you know, just everything, man. Really good. So
I've seen so much awesome like Terminator art over the years, you know, like
man, some of the Frank Miller stuff he wrote. They even did the Terminator, RoboCop versus the Terminator run.
Yep, I remember that, and which is funny. Remember they put out a RoboCop versus Terminator game on NES.
Rocket on Sega.
It was playing Ministry. Like
shut up.
I swear to God, the song off of Psalm 69. Oh my God, I forgot the name of the song. But that was
made me look this up.
Like
I used to rock that game on Sega a lot. Like 7th grade year, I'd come home.
Trailer for the game trailer playing Ministry.
Yeah, definitely gonna look it up.
But yeah, like it's spawned so many things. Like I remember buying the Terminator comics. You know,
toys, and to mention the toys.
What got me into comic books.
Yeah, and it's inspired so many people as well. That's the thing. It's a great film.
Exactly.
It's a great story concept.
You know, like I have movies to thank for me becoming a comic book nerd. You know, like all day long. Like that's what inspired, you know, me to, you know, want to read comic books.
Well, seeing it at an early age for me made me explore other stuff in the comic store and in the movie store that I normally wouldn't have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it made me rent Westworld, the movie. It just took it. Like I said, that's what's cool about science fiction. I love science fiction movies, man, because they do that. You know, and again, it made me a fan of James Cameron. You know.
Exactly. I always loved the darker side of science fiction.
Yeah.
Terminator was obviously in that spectrum. Like
The Matrix, it had to inspire the Wachowskis to do.
Oh God, yeah. Come on, Mr. Anderson. Not taking away anything from Hugo Weaving, but he's the T1000.
What is it? Say it again.
Not taking anything away from Hugo Weaving, but Mr. Anderson is a T-1000.
Oh, Agent Smith. Agent Smith.
Yeah, Agent Smith. Yes.
His delivery of his lines, every single one of them.
Remember, I told you when I watched it a month ago, I was like, why didn't they cast Hugo Weaving?
Yeah. He would have been a good Terminator, man. Like,
man,
he's so cold and just, it's awesome.
I thought Hugo Weaving would have made a great Terminator.
Totally would have, man. Matrix Reloaded is just it's a puff piece. It's a bunch of crap. But the super burly brawl, when it's like 500 Agent Smiths and he's fighting Neo, before they start fighting, the lines that Agent Smith is delivering, it's so fucking cool how they did it. Like, one walks in front of the camera and he says his line, the next one walks. It's so neat. But love him as Agent Smith. I love him as Agent Smith.
Absolutely.
Man. It totally inspired the Matrix in a big way.
It's inspired so many,
I say about Hugo, he's so fucking good as Agent Smith. The other agents seem like non-threatening compared to him.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, but I love him. I still want to get that Matrix figure of him. I want an Agent Smith figure. I really do. So, but we're at an hour, buddy. So,
man, that flew by. This episode flew by.
Memories. Because this movie, because we grew up with the motherfucker. So, it's Terminator, man.
Well, I feel pretty damn good about this episode. I mean, I guess the only other thing that's really left to talk about, I think I've said everything there is to say about Michael Biehn. I've mentioned Michael Biehn in almost every goddamn episode.
He's one of those actors who just cast him in everything. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Play the fucking shark in Jaws,
I'm down. Kyle Reese is one of my favorite fictional characters of all time.
We'll get the figure. I promise.
Yes.
One day it will happen. Happen.
Wait.
And I'd like to touch on that. Kenner made a whole slew of Terminator toys back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then NECA recently picked up the license, I guess, and they are producing. They have been producing for about 10 years. Some of the nicest and most well done
because
you can want.
I think NECA started doing Terminator action figures, I want to say 2010.
They did an 18-inch endoskeleton in 2005 because I almost bought it. I bought the 18-inch RoboCop instead. So I only had enough for one.
It's hard to fault you for that.
I couldn't. Spencer's had it on clearance for like $25.
That's what I'm saying, though. I mean, it's like at least you walked away with one of them, because both of them were fucking amazing and iconic.
You're coming with me. Because it talked. It was one of the ones that taught you push the button and he talked.
That's badass.
So, yeah, it was great, man. It was great. Stay out of trouble. Love RoboCop. So, but yeah.
I think we've said everything there is to say. We love this film. It's one of our obviously we've said everything there is to say. I mean, we're excited though because we've got another great episode coming up for you guys that we're going to be doing, which will be. You want me to say it or?
Drop it, man. Drop it like it's hot, son. Drop it like it's hot.
All right. We're going to be doing Predator 2.
Woo!
So, which is super exciting in tribute to the late, great Bill Paxton.
I still can't believe he died. Jesus. I'll throw it out there. I might take some heat, but I like Predator 2 a lot more than Predator 1. Listen, I love Predator. It's like almost a perfect action movie.
We're going to break the internet if they read that. I mean, if they listen to this episode, they hear that.
Fuck that guy.
I agree with you 100%. We had this conversation before that, Predator 2, we absolutely adore Predator 2. It's one of our favorite sequels.
Huge options. I love that movie, man.
Oh, it's so great. I'll tell you what I believe. Opens.
Like just
Yeah, Scorpio. Oh, it's so great. It's
Gary
great.
Busey, and arguments invalid.
That's right. But I'm Mick Sawyer.
Slinky Giallo.
And this is the Red Rabbit Drive-In Theater, and we will see you guys, or you will hear from us again for the next episode, which will be Predator 2.
Predator 2. Stuck in the middle with you. Take it easy, guys.
Nice rhymes. Red Rabbit Drive-In Theater.
Welcome to the Red Rabbit Drive-In Theater. That's exactly what he just said. I'm your host, Slinky, joined by my good buddy,
Mick Sawyer. And what's the episode going to be about tonight, Slinky?
Well, we talked about it for like 5 minutes on the last episode, and then you put a post up. You were like, the Terminator, bitches. So,
yeah, that's right.
It's the Terminator, man. Both of us got a hot nut for this movie.
Yes.
I don't know.
And I got tons of factoids.
Oh yeah, know an awful lot of useless shit about this flick. Mick's gonna run this motherfucker though. I'll be honest with you. I love the movie. I'm a huge fan of it. But Mick is on next level. Like he's like the guy that knocks at your door and he's like, "Hey, do you have a minute so I can tell you about our Lord and Savior, Kyle Reese?"
Michael Biehn.
Yeah, Michael Biehn. Huge Michael Biehn fan, which I am as well. I love Michael Biehn, man. He's a really good actor. Let's see. I don't even know where to start on this movie. The movie's grim. The storyline of the movie is really dark, and it's what's funny is there's few movies that are talked about by philosophers and futurists. And this is one of them. The Terminator premise, the Matrix premise,
That's right.
artificial intelligence.
Because we